Chernobylite. This is a very interesting game. What I do know about this game, it does take place apart from the S.T.A.L.K.E.R games. It plays very, very similar to, and it's a game that I really wasn't really anticipating on making a video on. But however, I think when it comes to this kind of game, this game plays like a supernatural type of Fallout game, if you think about it, because it does have that a little bit of that Fallout-esque to it, and that's what I really like about it. I feel like when it came to Fallout 4, Fallout 4 was a good game, but it was not a good RPG. It was more action and less RPG, but there was some RPG elements into that game as well. But however, when it comes to Chernobylite, this is the PS5 version, and so, like I say, this is a game I feel like that it's going to be somewhat difficult to talk about. Hopefully I can be able to make sense of what I'm trying to talk about this game in general. And so, going back to that, this game really plays that much of a S.T.A.L.K.E.R game. When it came to the S.T.A.L.K.E.R games back on PC. However, I do know that another S.T.A.L.K.E.R is in play, or is in production and coming to the newer generation of hardware, specifically on PC and the new Xbox. But however, I think when it comes to Chernobylite, this is a very interesting game. It's a very interesting game to where that there is crafting involved. Obviously, when it comes to like games like this, there's always going to be some kind of crafting. And the crafting is really not that difficult, but I will probably eventually make other videos on this game and talk about the crafting in general and how it really is somewhat innovative, but it's not as difficult as a lot of people will probably think it is. But however, I think when it comes to this game, Chernobylite, it's a very intricate and very interesting way of how you're going to, harvest certain types of things within this game. And there is a harvesting system in this game. You can be able to farm certain types of plants, and being able to use those plants to, make a variety of different types of drinks, like alcohol or anything for that matter, like plant-induced types of soups that you can make for radiation poisoning and health punctures or that sort of thing. So, not punctures, but, you get where I'm going with this. But, the story of this game is very, very interesting. It's like I'm really trying to understand where the story is going. But, however, there is a little bit of a companionship in this game to where you have companions. And each companion you are able to train with these different types of companions within the game of Chernobylite. And you can be able to do certain types of perks. You have camouflage. You have parkour. You are able to do different types of combat scenarios and vice versa. That's where this game really falls differently to that of Fallout 4. Fallout 4 actually ended up being my very first Fallout game in the Fallout series. Much like that similar of the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Skyrim was one of my first games of the Elder Scrolls series as well. So I know I didn't need to mention that, but I just want to put my own 2 cents in for that type of what I really was trying to go with that. So my bad on that. But this game, Chernobylite, the combat is, I would say it's not the greatest, but it still fits this game. Because, like I say, this game, this game is very, very similar to that of the S.T.A.L.K.E.R series. I have played some of the S.T.A.L.K.E.R games from the previous years, or the previous past, and this game is one of those games to where I feel like that, if you want to get your S.T.A.L.K.E.R fix, I do highly recommend playing Chernobylite. I think, whether if it's on PC or on console, but I do believe that this game really falls under a really good category of the FPS genre. Other than when we have other first-person shooters out there, much like Doom or Quake and all that kind of stuff. But it's not like those types of shooters. This shooter, like I said, it's based on the original S.T.A.L.K.E.R games in its own unique way. And what I'm trying to get to is that this game really falls under more like of a supernatural Fallout. And I actually really believe that. I really do, because, there are some survival mechanics within this game you know, and you are able to craft certain types of things within the game as well, and much like you create your own type of farm, and being able to just craft anything for what you want to be able to do. You know, however, with the world of Chernobylite, this game really does something other than very, very unique, in my personal opinion, because you are able to craft a lot of things in this game. And you basically have your own types of base of operations, and you be able to craft certain types of things like plants or certain that sort of thing. And not only that, you are able to build your weapons with certain types of materials. That's another great thing about this game. It's like I felt when it came to Fallout 4. Fallout 4, you were able to create your weapons, but they were only going through different types of modifications to create your weapons. This game really implements a really interesting, intricate, and somewhat maybe deep crafting system when it comes to crafting your weapons. But however, when it came to Fallout 4, it doesn't have that from what this game does. I believe that not Stalker, excuse me. I believe that Chernobylite just does some things better in terms of its crafting system when it comes to weapon crafting. You know, I felt like that when it came to the crafting system in Fallout 4, it was good, but it's not as intricate or deep and robust like what Chernobylite does. That's my own personal opinion on this. But however, I think when it comes to Chernobylite, it's I love its atmosphere, I love its structure, I love the way how the missions are very based on different types of areas of the game. Sometimes the missions are always going to be differentiated. They're always going to be different from any other missions, but sometimes those different missions that you will be able to achieve or go through will somewhat be able to go through the same exact map. You are able to do certain types of bounties, you know, when it comes to monsters, and you are able to scavenge like materials. If you want to go out and material farm, you can do that as well. This game, Chernobylite, really has you that, it really gives you that type of implementation of being able to do those certain types of things. You were able to do something like that a little bit, however, in Fallout 4. But I believe that's where Chernobylite is so different from Fallout 4, because you are able to do certain type of things within this game that really just falls very similar to, but it's just, to me, I felt like that it was more intricate. It was very interesting of how you were able to craft certain type of things when it came to plant harvesting, by creating your own type of farm at your base of operations, and being able to craft certain types of weapons that you want to be able to craft. You have to have a good surmountable of materials and resources to craft certain type of things for your weapons as well, much like for your shotgun, much like for your assault rifle, and much like for your pistol as that, however, though too. And that's what makes Chernobylite very different to Fallout 4. Now, what I would really like to say is that, you know, like I said, I do believe that this game does a really good job of its combat mechanics. However, like I said, you know, when you have companions that you are able to make in this game, you can, however, like I said, you can train with these companions. And that's another thing that's what's great about this game, though, too, because you weren't able to do any types of training in Fallout 4 when you have companions in the game. But in Chernobylite, you are able to have companions and be able to train with those companions and have different types of perks. And like I said, I will eventually make a video on that as well and explain a little bit more deeply and more in depth of what those companions were able to help you achieve, and being able to know what perks that you want to use, especially if you're going to do something with stealth or with combat scenarios. And that's where Chernobylite really falls much more differently from that of Fallout 4. Now, I do believe that I think Chernobylite does a lot of things better than from Fallout 4 did as well. You know, not just because of its... I mean, like I said, the combat in this game is very similar to that of Fallout 4. But to me personally, I think when it comes to the combat in Chernobylite versus Fallout 4, it might be a little clunky, but it does a really good job of being more combat focused. You know, I do believe when it came to Fallout 4, the combat was very well focused enough. but I felt like that it was lacking. And I think that's where Chernobylite really does a better job in terms of that focus of that gameplay style and how you want to utilize it and how it's going to maintain a proper balance of, if you want to do certain types of combat, you know, you are able to have a crossbow in this game as well. They didn't have a crossbow in Fallout 4, and I kind of wish that they had. And for what I understand, it's like if you want to have a crossbow in Fallout 4, you are able to do modifications, basically mods, through the Bethesda.net website. But however, as far as I know, I don't know if Chernobylite has mod support. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But all I can say is this. Like I said, do I recommend this game? Yeah, I do recommend this game. I think this is one of the better versions of a Fallout game rather than Fallout 4. But I mean, if I were to get some flack from this, or maybe get a certain type of different opinion or preference or whatever, by all means put them in the comment section below, and please let me know what you really truly think, the difference between this game, Chernobylite, versus Fallout 4, and that's fine though too. But in turn, or overall, I think that Chernobylite just does something very unique from its combat style and the way how it's just, it's like I said, like I said, it is a little clunky. It's not as bad as you think it is, but overall, I mean, you still can be able to do really well in terms of combat. Now, however, you are able to make ceramic tiles, and ceramic tiles are able to have you a better protection support, especially if you're going to have like some sort of type of vest on you, whether if it's a tactile or a camouflage or a heavy chest suit or whatever it might be, you know, but it all depends on what you want to be able to have better protection with. So all I can say is that I think when it comes to Chernobylite, this game just does something very, very differently from what I anticipated of what Fallout 4 did for me. I thoroughly did, however, liked Fallout 4, but I think when it comes to Chernobylite, this game just does something that I never really thought it would do for me, much like what this game is similar to that of Fallout 4. Not just because of its combat, not just because of its structure of the game itself, but it just has to do with what this game really does a good job of its story. Like I said, I really can't tell you about much of the story. I'm not really good when it comes to making these types of videos of how I want to explain the story. I believe there are other YouTubers out there that really provide a better sense of concept of what the story is all about when it comes to these types of games or any kind of video games in general. But me, I'm more focused on, you know, like the concept of the game, you know, when it comes to the gameplay, when it comes to the structure of the game itself, you know, like mission structure and how vibrant a game can be and how robust it can be in terms of like maybe of its crafting system or its gunplay. That's the main focus of what I really like to do when it comes to making these types of videos, for me anyway. So that's the way how I want to put that. But what I can say is this, like I said, I do highly recommend playing this game if you want to get your S.T.A.L.K.E.R itch. I know that S.T.A.L.K.E.R, the newer S.T.A.L.K.E.R game that's going to be coming out eventually, has been through some type of developmental hell. But unfortunately, I've been hearing that it's been doing pretty well, and I believe it already has an initial release date. So that's really good. I think that's really, really good, and I think it's I know that it's a very much anticipated title. So I'm pretty excited for what that game is going to do and for what it's going to, you know, with everything of what that game is going to entail. Like I said, combat, story, and vice versa. And I think that's the most important thing. So all I can say is this, like I said, I will be making more, hopefully I will be making more videos on this game and being able to understand and hopefully get some more, maybe get some compliments or comments that you might have. But anyways, this is Jake from Citizen JV. Thank you for tuning in. Greatly appreciated. But if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section below. I'll be more than happy to reply back if and whenever possible. And you guys have a good rest of your weekend. See ya.